Hello everyone, happy Tuesday. Welcome back to our channel. It's Ngozi. I'm here today solo. I just got back from Dallas yesterday. There was a convention, conference rather, Igbo Unite. I went with some friends, cousins. Every year is in a new city. So last year was my last year, but this year was in Dallas, and I was like, this is a good opportunity for me to visit Dallas. I hadn't been since last May, so over a year. Is crazy. Like the time flies. But yeah, Dallas was cool. I wanted to do this live. I know we haven't met in a minute and just talk about my experience this weekend in Dallas. As you all know, if you watch this channel, I've been to Dallas maybe like 8 times before this weekend, but I've never really got to explore it the way I wanted to as like a tourist. I've always been in and out whenever I visit Dallas. So this is an opportunity to try and like go, explore it a bit. And I did do that to some extent. So I did bump into some subscribers. Like anyone watching from Dallas, yes, let us know where you're watching from. Please make sure you like this video as you're coming in. We won't be long today, but just wanted to jump in while this was still relevant, and I know it's been a while. So if y'all don't have your bell notification, it may take time for you to realize that we're on. So I'll just go straight into it. So last Friday, August 1st, I put on our wall the top 20 cities in America. And I was shocked by a lot of them, to be honest. So I just wanted to share that because I'm sure a lot of you all would be shocked by them as well. And like I believe number one, we all know is New York, then it's LA, then Chicago, then it's Houston, and then number five is like Phoenix, right? Um, Jacksonville was like up there. Miami's not on the list, which shocked me. But what stood out to me was that four of the major cities in Texas, San Antonio, Austin, Houston, Dallas, Fort Worth, actually five, were like top 15 most populated cities in America. And Dallas, I believe, was like nine, and Fort Worth was like 12. So we had these conversations before, talk about like kind of like Houston versus Dallas. Y'all know I'm a little biased. I prefer Houston. That's where I currently live. I've been in Houston for over 3 years now. Can't believe it. Can't believe it. Time is flying. But I always felt like Dallas was a cool city. It was just a bit different. Like I said, I never really got to go inside of it. I never really like went out like the way I go out in Houston. But this weekend I got in on Friday, went to some events. I don't think I went out. I didn't like really go out Friday. Saturday, we went looking at apartments. So we went to the Deep Ellum area, Preston Hollow area. Went to North Park Mall, which was really really nice mall, cute mall. We did some shopping. Went to Zara. Um, where else did we go? Came back, rested. Then at nighttime, I went into the city. So I went to this spot called Evelyn's. It's like a steakhouse, really cute inside. Oh my gosh, such one of the prettiest bathrooms I've ever seen. But I got there too late to eat, so I wasn't able to eat. So I just took some pictures in a cute bathroom. And then after I went to Roseland Lounge, and it reminded me of like a few places I've been to in Houston, like Segredo, a little larger. It was cool. I wasn't there for long, and I came back. Then Sunday stayed local, did dinner at Siam, so down in that area by Vice in that same Deep Ellum area, and then Monday headed back. So I can't say that like I said, so Dallas is so big, and I can't really say I've seen anything close to all of it. But from like several times going there, I believe this is like my ninth time, I just feel like Dallas is just very big. And I don't know, just something about it. I remember talking to some guy earlier this year, and he said whenever he goes to Dallas, he feels like sad or he feels like dull or something along those lines. It's just not Houston. Like that's obvious. I feel like they get compared a lot because they're two major cities. I was watching a video before this live about how a lot of people are moving to Dallas from California, from New York, from even out of the country because of the job opportunities, the no state income taxes, the really nice houses, the really great economy. They're building, I believe, a Universal Studios this year in Frisco. So that's a big deal. In the video, they were discussing excuse me, I'll link the video down below. They were discussing how like Frisco's about to get really expensive once that Universal Studios is like complete. So there's a lot of development. And I feel like Dallas is a really cool city. And I understand, why people are moving there. Hi, Darius. Where are you from again? Are you from the Midwest? I believe, is it Michigan or Chicago? Remind me where you're watching from, Darius. Nice to see you. Which city is best for professionals? That's it. Like I mentioned, I was watching the video and I could see Dallas seems like it has more industries. Healthcare is big there. They talked about logistics, healthcare. What's the other big sector there? Like kind of like banking. Thinking about another one that they mentioned. I can't recall, but it seems from the setup, it just seemed the layout. I could see Dallas being more of like that professional, vibe versus somewhere like Houston. But Houston also is good for professionals. You have oil and gas, you have healthcare, business is really big. But I think from where I feel like the way they're building up Dallas, they're being very intentional and they're trying to attract, a certain crowd, certain type of people. They're trying to really make Dallas. They're trying to really like build it up, kind of how like what they're doing in Austin. And I don't know whether Houston is, moving at that pace. I think they're trying to make it more of a professional. Yeah, I definitely think of Dallas, think of it more of a professional city, but that doesn't mean that Houston is not a professional. Is not good for professionals. It also is. Thank you. I know it's not easy, y'all. I'm tired. Got in yesterday. Didn't sleep well, but I'm like, it's been too long already scheduled. I don't want to start moving stuff, so y'all gotta hit me with the super chats and bring the questions in. I did bump into a subscriber, I believe Rose. Hi, Rose. Her name is Rose on YouTube. So if you watch this back, hey, it was nice seeing you. Darius, you're from Temple, Texas, an hour an hour north of Austin. Okay, so how far is that from Houston? It's crazy because even driving through, right? I think that's the thing I like about driving because I did drive to Dallas. So it was like 4 hours. I like being able to drive through and see the different signs of like all like the areas. You see, this road to Shreveport, this road to Waco, Palestine, Corsicana. What are some other Forney? Like we're past. Texas has so many cities. So many, it's so big, it's so massive. We're past to like farms. Literally, there's like farms. I remember every time we drive to Dallas, I'll see like all like the cows and all the stuff, like literally right on the road on the highway. And you forget like being in a major city like Houston, how like rural Texas can get. It can get very rural, and that's why you have to be very careful even when you start going to these suburbs. I know people move further out; they want bigger houses, cheaper homes, but you have to be careful because in a place like Texas, it gets rural real quick. I share a question. Do you feel a heavy vibe of racism? Every time I speak to people about Texas, the first thing they say is racism, but they never been there before. This is a great question. I shine as Shayna. Hey, do you usually catch our lives? I don't know. Let me know. But Texas is big, right? So I could say from my experience, I'm going to compare Dallas to Houston. The big thing I was going to point out, I know people are coming in, make sure you like, subscribe, share this video. I don't know if you caught the beginning part when I talked about Saturday going into the city at nighttime, going into a few spots. I went to Evelyn Steakhouse, and after I went to, let me make sure I'm saying the right name of this lounge. Make sure I have it pulled up. Evelyn Steakhouse, and then I went to Regine's Dallas. It definitely is a different vibe than Houston. I feel like, Dallas, numbers-wise, population-wise, has pretty much the same amount of Black people than Houston. I know people think that Dallas is like whiter, but it's not necessarily true. It's both about 23-24% Black populations. Houston's a little bigger, so numbers-wise, it gives you a little bit more Black people. But I think the difference, like I always say with places like Houston and Atlanta, is that they cater to Black people. Right? So even the spots I went to, they reminded me of spots in Houston, both Evelyn's the Steakhouse and Regine's Dallas. And even though like I talk about social when I go out, I don't limit myself to going to only Black places. I like to go to nice places, but I feel like you will see more of a mix in somewhere like Houston. Like you will go to nice places and you'll see more people that look like you. And even if they don't look like you, they're more warm and they're more welcoming. I can't speak to all Dallas, but from my experience going out that night, I could see why Dallas has like that reputation of being like uppity, kind of standoffish. A week ago, I went to my optometrist literally down the street, and she's from Houston, and she's a Caucasian lady. And I was telling her, yeah, I need to get my, I need some extra contacts, I need some samples. I'm going to Dallas. I go Dallas. They're uppity there. Like she made that comment. I was just laughing. And mind you, this is like a lady. She like got money. Like she was like, yeah, Dallas. They're a little uppity there, and that they have that reputation. After going there so many times, I can see why it's labeled as that, you know? I just think from even the setup and the spread out, like when I was like driving around from spot to spot, things are very spread out. And I don't know, maybe I just didn't know where I was going and go to the right places. I just feel like there's not like a central area. Like right now, let's say you come to Houston, go to the Galleria. There's so many spots in the Galleria. There's so many spots like within like the uptown area, the downtown. Like things are kind of even though Houston is big and things can be far. When you talk socially and like talking about like nightlife going out, everything is very close to each other. But I felt like with Dallas, from like I said, just from my one night thing, when I was like checking stuff on GPS, okay, let me go to this spot. This is on my list. That's my list. Things were not like close. It was like, okay, this place 15 minutes, go here. And then they were all like one. Like this one place is here, then nothing else is by it. Like for example, the steakhouse I went to, Evelyn's, it was in a very, it was located very weird. Like it was just like in the middle, kind of like nowhere, like in a corner of a street. And like there was nothing by it. It was like dark, like nothing, no other buildings, no apartments. I'm just like, this is a very interesting setup. You know, I'm not used to that. So that stood out to me. But what else? What was the question to the racism? Yeah, let me get back to the question. I being something like Houston, to be honest, I don't know if I've ever experienced it, at least not overtly, you know, but like I talk about in some of our other videos, um, what I've noticed is that Houston can be a bit segregated in terms of people don't really mix as much. You know, you have you have the spots where the Latinos go, then you have the black spots, and you have the African spots, you have the Jamaican spots, and then you have the Black American spots, and you have the where the Persian people go. Like because it's so big and so diverse, there's places for everyone. So I feel like people kind of stay to themselves in a sense. But it's not to say if you choose to mix up that people are going to be mean to you or rude to you. Or I've never had that experience, but I've noticed that people tend to just stay with their own. That has been my observation in Houston. Houston, not it. Dallas building up a lot. I love Dallas. Big facts. Hi, Kesh the Empress. So, what are some good spots in Dallas? Like when you say building up, what do you mean in terms of socially, houses? Because I think when I think of Dallas, and I think of when people talk a lot about it, I think more about the real estate. It is a bit more expensive, but you think about having like those big, nice houses, really nice suburbs. So, when you say they're building it up, what exactly are you referring to? Quirky teacher. I've heard Dallas is more family oriented, Houston more for the singles. Do you think that's true? I can see that. And like I said, I think it's just more about the setup. Like I said, Dallas is more spread out. And even just when you drive and go to stuff, I like it just doesn't give me that energy that Houston has. It definitely can't compare it. Like even if you talk to people in Dallas for the most part, people they know. Like people from Dallas come to Houston for the weekend and go back home. Like it's more calm for sure. It's more chill. So I can see why people feel like Dallas is more family orientated. Things are more spread out. It's bigger, you know, not population wise, but if you put Dallas and Fort Worth together, you know, DFW, they share airport size wise, is way bigger than Houston. But that's not to say that Dallas doesn't have things to do and there's not clubs. It's the same stuff. Maybe food scene, you know, I was looking through the list and stuff like that and going through a lot of stuff. You know, I'm a big foodie. And I feel like it's something you kind of take for granted when you live in a city like Houston. There's a lot of like food options. Like there's a big food scene where there's black owned or just any other restaurants. And like I had trouble finding. They have a lot of restaurants, but like I said, I don't know whether it's as big of a thing like the way we have like restaurants in Houston coming up every week. I don't think of that when I think of Dallas. You know, they have, of course, everywhere has restaurants. Even in Vermont, they have restaurants, right? But I feel like Houston is known for their food scene and just having a lot of like aesthetic, nice, pretty restaurants. So I can see why people think Dallas is more family oriented. Not to say you can't have that family oriented experience in Houston, because you still can. It's just that Houston is a bigger city. So of course, when you think of bigger cities, you think of, you know, younger people. Of course, younger people tend to be single, right? You think of like more of nightlife. You know, Houston has a very big nightlife culture, for sure. Like that, I'm not gonna argue that Houston, like, you know, it's very social. There's a lot to do in a city like Houston. So I can see where that's coming from. Gino said hello, Nana. I think Gino, you think I'm Nana? I'm in Gazelle. Hi, Gino. I go through Houston at least once a year. It's like 3.5 hours from my town. Okay. So how is you said Temple? How was that? Like, is it like how was your experience living there? Okay, teacher, that's true. Everyone, please like the video and share. I've been to both Dallas and Houston. People in Houston seem more chill, in my opinion, but traffic in Houston is much worse. Houston is definitely more diverse and more of an international flair, for sure. For sure. Like, that's not an argument, you know? I think, they're both great cities. They're just different. That's the word I would use. It's not always about like which one is better. What's better is going to be based on your lifestyle, what you're looking for, where you are in your life, what's important to you. And this is another fact I need to bring up. Yeah, let me drink my water because this is a big one. Make sure y'all like the video. The heat. I don't think the first time I went to Dallas was in August, but I was in 2019. So I don't think I remember. But you know how people always talk about Houston being so hot and so humid and so unbearable. The heat in Dallas this weekend, oh my gosh. I wasn't expecting. I was thinking, oh, it's going to be cooler, because from my experience, Dallas is always like 10 degrees cooler than Houston. But like I said, I've never really been in the summer, like in a very long time. It was hot. It was 100 degrees, sweating, burning, scorching. Even the video I just watched, they talk about how the summers are really bad. It may not get as humid as Houston, but it's very close to it. From like June, July, August, you're going to be melting. I don't know why. I just wasn't expecting it to be that hot, like feel that hot. Because of course I looked at the temperature. I was packing. It said like high. My bad. I got kicked out. I don't know what happened. I'm back, y'all. But yeah, I was talking about the weather, how I was packing, and I knew it was going to be hot, but the feel, how there's like the real temperature, then there's the feels like temperature. It literally was like feeling like over 100 degrees. Like my car at a point when I was driving, it said 104 degrees. I was like, whoa, I did not realize Dallas is just as hot as Houston. I just always had in my mind that Houston was like much, much hotter, which isn't necessarily true. So it gets hot as well. I was actually talking to someone that lives in Dallas, and they were saying how they're originally from Nigeria and that Dallas is hotter than Nigeria. And I was just like, what? Like, are you serious? Like, yeah, like they said that's the one thing they don't like about it is the heat. And I always find it funny when people like from hot countries complain about heat because I'm just like, aren't y'all used to it? Like, even you came from a very, very hot country. Yeah, but Dallas is super hot. But I think it's a great city. I always talk about like if I was to move anywhere, in America, not that I'm planning to anytime soon, but anything can happen. You gotta keep an open mind. I always say I think it would be like either back to New Jersey, Dallas, or the DMV area. So I could live in Dallas for sure. I don't plan to I wouldn't just up and move there. Like I don't have a reason to go there, but at somewhere like Dallas, I think I can make it work. It's similar weather, no state income tax. It's still Texas. They have a big airport, so traveling. That's the thing about Houston. I don't really like. There's not a lot of good flights from Houston. There's not a lot of good flights. American Airlines, their hub is in Dallas, so I'm assuming they have like good decent amount of flights. It's a big airline. What's another good thing about Dallas? Mm, it's diverse as well. That Dallas is a diverse city as well. When I think about like in terms of black people, there's a lot of East Africans there. There's a lot of different types of Africans other than Nigerians. Um, yeah, Dallas is it's a good city, and I think it has a lot to offer. But before you go anywhere, you always have to do your research and figure out what's important to you, what you're looking for in a place, because nowhere is perfect. Everywhere has its has something. It's everything. There's pros and cons to everything. You just have to be real with yourself. But I could see why people say Dallas is more family oriented. Just based on the fact that it's more spread out and there's less to do. So that makes sense why like a single quote unquote would want to be somewhere like Houston, or someone who is younger, or someone who wants to like explore more, or prefer a city like Houston because there's more options socially. Let me see. So has anyone lived in both? I know Aisha and Shayna, no, not Aisha, Shayna, Catch the Empress. It seems if you lived in both. Have you lived in both? I'm gonna share my link for anyone that wants to join. I really would like, you know, let me see. I'm trying to share my link, but yeah, if anyone has lived in both, I would like you to join and share your experience. Because I think, when you visit somewhere, like I said, I've been to Dallas almost 10 times, it's still not the same as you living somewhere. You can't really speak to somewhere until you actually have lived there. It's different. It's not the same. Let me see. Let me share this link. I'm not, the StreamYard is looking different. Okay. Share the link, y'all. I'm gonna share the link if anyone wants to join. But yeah, it was cool. It was a fun experience. I prefer driving over flying. The flight is about like 45 minutes. It's not bad. I've flown once to work for work, but after all these delays and all this craziness has been happening this year with flights, I'd rather be on a plane. I'm not a plane. I'd rather drive any day. Like I like having the control. I like getting there and having your car, being able to move around, not having to worry about airports and all the craziness, missing flights. So it's not a bad drive. It's not 4 hours. It goes by quick. It's literally a straight road, like for like 200 plus miles. So it's a really easy drive. Let's see if I missed any question. All right, so I'll be rounding up soon. If you all have any questions, leave them down below. If you're thinking about moving to Houston, don't forget to check out our Houston playlist. We have a bunch of videos about my experience living in Houston, things to do in Houston, how long I've been here, what shocked me the most about living here. What else? Make sure you subscribe, like this video, let us know what you want us to talk about next. We're trying YouTube. YouTube is not easy, but YouTube is our baby, so we don't want to abandon YouTube. We're still here, but let us know what type of content you want to see, and when we make the content, make sure you watch it. Hold on one second. Okay, let me go. I have a list. A point I had to make. Let me see. Oh, cost of living. How could I miss that? I mentioned how we were looking at apartments on Saturday, and even from like calling me, my cousin were calling Saturday morning. We're trying to do like some last minute stuff, look at pricing. And when people say Dallas is a little costly, yes, cost of living, they're not lying. Like price wise, like to just once you put luxury in a search, like one bedrooms are coming up like well over 2,000 for like not like bare like 700 square feet. Like the prices were wild, and that's another thing I think what draws people to Houston, that it is more affordable. Like that's not an argument. Like of course you have like the highbrow areas that you can spend if you want to, but on average Houston is more affordable. Like the prices were like wow, significantly more expensive than Houston for renting. Like I said, even the housing market, the video I was watching earlier, they talked about don't move to Dallas think with 500,000 thinking you're going to get a mansion. I'm just like that. Like I was laughing because I know someone that bought a house in Dallas, I believe was it 2018 for about like a little over 500K, and it was just like 4 bedroom, 3.5 bathroom in a good area. So that's 2018. So it's funny how you said 500K, like that's a little bit of money, but like 500K is, like that's a decent, that's a lot of money for you to buy. You're not going to get a mansion, of course, but he was speaking to like people thinking they're going to come with that amount of money and get a huge house. Like Dallas is expensive, it's getting more expensive. They're building, they're developing it. People are moving like really far out from the Dallas city center to get bigger, more affordable homes. But he even mentioned that some parts of Dallas are more expensive than Austin, but it's still overall a little cheaper than Austin. Yeah. So, that's the thing that really got to me. The cost of living in Dallas is significantly higher than Houston, significantly higher. Like, I mean, look, I have an apartment tour coming up, and I don't want to mess up our channel algorithm. We already have a lot going on with having Houston and Charlotte content for you all watching for the first time, or if you're new. My name is Ngozi. I live in Houston, Texas. I make content about living in Houston, my experience here thus far. It's been a little over 3 years, and my twin sister lives in Charlotte, North Carolina. This month, actually, she makes 5 years. She's been living in Charlotte. Wow, I'm really proud of her. She's really tried. Knows Zara for 5 years. It's not easy, but yeah. So Charlotte, she covers Charlotte. I cover Houston. But if you have been watching our channel, oh my God, yes, you made exactly 5 years. Congratulations. If you've been watching our channel, I do a lot of apartment tours on the Hanover units. I love Hanover. They have really nice units. I really like the company in terms of the type of their apartments. They have like literally 10 of them. I've probably toured like 8 out of the 10 of them in Houston. They just finished up 2 in Dallas. So I toured one on Saturday, Preston Hollow. Then they have another one, Turtle Creek. And they're pretty on par with the prices of the ones in Houston, even cheaper than I expected, being that Dallas seems to be a little bit more expensive. But I think it's partly because they're not even fully open. They're pretty new, and their occupancy rate is very low. Like the one I toured, the occupancy rate was 15%. So like they have a lot of empty units. Their prices are probably much lower than usual because they're trying to, get people in, get people locked in, get their occupancy rate up, and then you'll start seeing the real prices. So, they just opened up 2. And I did drive through that other area because the one I went through was Preston Hollow. Then when I went out at nighttime, I believe one of the places I went to was in Turtle Creek area. I believe it was Evelyn's. I can't remember, but I drove through the Turtle Creek area, and it kind of reminded me of kind of like River Oaks. Just driving through, right? I didn't look at the houses, but looking like the setup and like the way the stores were set up. So, like I said, I see some similarities in some of the places, some of the setups. When I look at the areas, for example, Deep Ellum is like that, like vibrant city area. We were there for a few. We went down there for a few nights. And I feel like that would kind of it reminded me kind of like Washington Ave area. I haven't been on Washington Ave in years. It's crazy that where they have, I believe, Clutch Bar, this other popular spot. I can't remember the name that comes to me, but parking is always so difficult there. But they have like a lot of bars and things going on Washington Ave. That's what Deep Ellum, that area reminded me of. And then we saw this other apartment, in that area, Deep Ellum. What's the name of the apartment? They have them in Houston. I can't remember. They have the same company in Houston, and the apartments were extremely affordable. Like 1 bedroom was like 13 something, but it reminded me of my first apartment. If y'all know, if y'all been here, y'all know what happened in my first apartment. Old, had roaches, was like outside, like it wasn't like a building, it was like a bunch of like apartment complexes outside. And whenever I Googled affordable apartments, or put a certain price range in Dallas, that was like the setup. Like the apartments looked very old on the outside, and they were more like stacked up like complexes. It wasn't like buildings, right? So went through the reviews, didn't see a lot about like stealing tires and stuff, which is something that's common in Houston. So that really doesn't seem like it's an issue in a place like Dallas. The six say you ain't going nowhere. You're ours now. You mean I'm not going anywhere from Houston? I'm not. I'm telling you. Let's even get into that because you bringing up a good point. Make sure y'all like. It just made me think, and I'm just like, even think when I think back to how I packed up my bags. Hey, made my brother come with me. He had two suitcases. I had two suitcases and left New Jersey and came here. But I think back to that, I'm just like, wow. I feel like for you to just really up and leave, you have to kind of be dissatisfied where you are or really not like it or not really care for it anymore. So that's why when I think about now, it's like, that's not my experience now. That's not to say that Houston is perfect. There are things that I don't, like about Houston, but I just can't imagine myself just packing everything up and just moving to another city at this point. It's just too much. Getting to know people again, getting to find a hair salon, getting to find a nail salon, learning what food I like, getting to know neighborhoods, knowing the shortcuts, the detours, how to get places, learning the streets, learning the exits, learning the roads. Like I know Dallas, y'all got like, what is it, 35 East and 635 and 35. We have 610 and 10 and 288 and this one and that one. But just learning all that stuff again, it's not to say I couldn't do it. We're still young, but you would really need like a reason to really you have to really be dissatisfied, in my opinion, really not like where you are for you to just up and just say I'm moving and starting all over again. It's not easy. We say this on the channel all the time. If you're going to relocate, fine, but I always recommend going somewhere where you know people, even if it's one person, even if it's one extended family member. Because starting all over at this age is not easy. If you're not going in for work or you're not going in for full-time schooling, it's not easy meeting people at this age and starting all over and building community. So we always say that, like, don't just up and go somewhere. Don't be too like rash or just feel like, oh, I just need to start all over again. Make sure it's something that you think through and you understand what you're doing, because it's not easy. You want to go somewhere where it won't be as difficult to integrate, build community, and meet people, because no matter where you are, Houston, Dallas, Charlotte, Atlanta, Miami, we talk about how your experience in the city is highly tied to the people you know. Of course, the city matters and it can help if you're in there's definitely certain places, like I believe Houston, where I feel like it's easier to meet people. A lot of people are moving from different places. People are social. People are friendly. My one girlfriend always tells me, because she was considering moving to Dallas, how she heard that Dallas is cliquish. I don't know, I don't live there, but she heard that Dallas is really cliquish and they don't let people into their circles easily. So I think that can be probably anywhere as you get older. People already have their groups of people, and that's why I said for somewhere like Houston, where a lot of people are not from here, they don't like it. They always complain on social media for us to go back. My personal experience, that it was easy meeting people if you put yourself out there and you have an open mind. So always keep that in mind. No place is perfect, sure, but Dallas and Houston are two different vibes. It's cool, but it's not it. Okay, social media page. Are you advocating for Houston? I'm assuming. Yeah, Dallas is cool. Like it's a cool vibe. It's I don't know what to say. I feel like Dallas reminds me of like the South, with like a what I say is it a New York? I don't know. Like there's like one city, like a little mix of like another city. Did I say New York? I don't know. Something about it. Like it's like it's like a northern southern city. And maybe it's just the development, the way it's set up, the infrastructure. I feel like they have like a proper like downtown. It's very built up. It's a very developed city for the most part. Yeah, and another thing I noticed, I didn't really see a lot of homeless people, but maybe it's the parts that I was in. I know Houston, that's a huge issue. Even I took a walk last week for the first time in a long time. It's hot. You can't really take walks in summer. And there was like benches that used to be on my street, and they moved them. And I think they're just trying to move things around to like get rid of like the congregating of homeless people in my area. And yeah, homelessness is a huge issue in Houston. Like it's bad. I talk about that in my previous videos, what I wish I knew before moving to Houston. I'll link all those down below. It wasn't something I expected to see in the South. I don't know why. Like I knew about, Cali having their communities, New York, but I didn't expect to see so much homelessness in a city like Houston. And that's one of the things for that shocked me. It was very shocking, and it's still something that I don't that I don't like to see, but I know there's so many reasons and a lot of things that contribute to it. So, okay, so I'm rounding up. So to close things up, no one's joining in. I wanted someone to join in that lived in both Dallas and Houston, but it seems like we don't have any callers. So I'll round this up. This is going to be quick today. But to round things up, Houston and Dallas are both great cities in Texas. A lot of great things happening there. A lot of people moving into both of them from around the world, from around the country. They're getting a big influx of residents. Whether people are retiring, they want warmer weather, whether it's a young professional trying to, go get a new vibe, go somewhere more affordable, run away from the snow. It's Texas. I'm biased. Texas to me is a great city, not a great city, a great state. It's in the center, South Central, everywhere is 3 hours. You go East Coast, you go West, you go up, nowhere is too far. Everywhere in America is 3 hours, even include Mexico and Canada. Everywhere in North America, for the most part, you can get to like in about, give or take 3 hours. So I know I'm biased. I enjoy Texas. I think it has a lot to offer. I understand why people are moving here in droves. It makes sense. I get it, especially with the cost of living. Was watching the news, inflation is up, 2.7% last month. Things are getting more expensive, so people want to see more of their money. And of course, not having state income taxes, going somewhere that's a little bit more affordable, it helps you see more of your money. I don't think you can go wrong with either. It just depends on what you're looking for. Maybe if you're looking for a more laid back experience, something more chill, more upscale. I don't even like that term, but that's how they like to categorize Dallas. I can see, people wanted to move to Dallas. If you want somewhere maybe more with a younger crowd, more of a nightlife, more diversity, more of a food scene, definitely a place like Houston. But both have great suburbs, new builds, master plan communities. Houston seems to be a little bit more affordable, but it doesn't mean that Houston is cheap. Nowhere is cheap anymore. Things are changing. But of course, compared to other major cities, you get a lot more for your money. So, for now, I'm in Houston. I don't plan to go anywhere anytime soon. I like living in Houston. Houston is a vibe. But Dallas is also a fun city with a lot to offer. So if y'all don't have any more questions, I'm going to wrap it up. I don't know if Nella's going to do her 5-year update next week. We'll keep you all posted. Make sure you subscribe. You have a notification bell on, so whenever we go live, get an alert so you can join. And make sure you keep on our page, our wall. We post things if we're going live next Tuesday. By the day before, you all will know. But thank you all for joining me today. I hope you have a great day, and I'll see you in our next one. Bye.